This is big breaking news. A bill has just passed the House of Representatives for a continuing resolution on the budget. And there's a few surprises in here and a few pork spending items in here as well too that I think you guys will find interesting. So we're going to go over all the details here really quick, guys. Please just hit that like and hit that subscribe. I'm posting multiple videos every single day, keeping you guys updated on this big urgent news, and it just helps to get these warnings out. I appreciate that. So this is what's going on right now with Congress. The House just passed this, and this is still a massive bill, right? They shrunk the size of the bill from 1,500 to around 120 pages here, right? 118 pages it is now. And I've been digging through this thing, trying to find all the pork and all the little suspects things that are in here. And there's a few things that I want you guys to be aware of. So first of all, Congress has given themselves a raise. Officially, their salaries have been raised, right? And this is something, you might think they deserve it, or you might not think they do deserve it, but this is something that probably shouldn't be in a CR. This should probably be in a normal budget, a balanced budget for the year for our government. Instead, it's just squeezed into the CR here. And there's also a few other things as well too that I thought was interesting. In section 5102 of this, right, I've been combing through it and trying to just see what exactly they passed. It says protection of certain facilities from unmanned aircraft, right? Kind of weird that that snuck its way in here when we've been seeing all this stuff happen the past few weeks of all this drone news, and now the military is involved to use deadly force. All these things are going on, and they just passed this in the bill as well too. So this gives the Department of Homeland Security, under the Homeland Security Act of 15, that it gives them more authority, all right, to protect certain facilities, military facilities, and certain critical infrastructure from unmanned aerial craft, right? And this was actually set to expire on December 20th, and it's now been extended until March 14th, and it has given them some extra powers in that department too. So I thought that was kind of, strange that this is all happening at the same time, but that snuck its way in there too. And it's also, the FAA just gave themselves raises as well too. I guess Congress gave them raises, but they are seeing their salaries be raised at the Federal Aviation Administration right now, right? This is going on, and they're also getting more funding to hire air traffic controllers and aviation safety oversight people, right? So they're getting more funding out of this bill too. I just thought it was interesting that that snuck its way into this continuing resolution. Something else that I thought was very interesting and hasn't really been talked about. This is what it says. This is a direct quote from the bill. Quote, atomic energy defense activities for national nuclear security, and this is for weapons activities. It says here, for an additional amount of, quote, weapons activities, which is $1.8 million to remain available until expected for necessary expenses related to damages caused by Hurricane Helene and Milton, provided that such amount is designated by Congress to be used for an emergency requirement pursuant to the Budget and Emergency Deficit Control Act. All right, so it's a lot of jargon, but they're essentially saying that they're giving $1.8 million for a nuclear emergency related to damaged weapons activities and weapons facilities that have happened from Hurricane Helene. So apparently there was some kind of damage to some kind of nuclear weapons facility from Hurricane Helene and Milton, right? That's what it sounds like. I was really digging into this, and this is what it seems like it is saying. So we haven't really heard about that either. Nobody's really said in the news that there's been damage to any of these facilities, but apparently somewhere, possibly in North Carolina or Florida or Georgia, South Carolina, we're not sure exactly where this is happening, but they're designating $1.8 million to make repair at these nuclear weapons facilities that have been damaged from the hurricanes, right? Kind of interesting that that's in there. That's kind of like a breaking news story in itself. So what's going on here, right? There's a lot of stuff being snuck in, going on behind the scenes, and you don't really know unless you really read these bills. Let me know what you guys think down below of this stuff, and just hit it up too to help get these warnings out. Here's some more things that are going on too. There's also $3 million for molasses inspections. Okay, just something that I thought was interesting, and that's actually in there. That's something I saw in the news, and I was like, wait a minute, is this for real? And I checked the bill, and it's actually in there. $3 million for molasses. There's also been $5 billion that has been appropriated for shipbuilding. Okay, so they are going to be building multiple Virginia class submarines for the US military, and they're allowing this money to remain available until 2029. They're giving almost $5.7 billion for shipbuilding, all right, for these Virginia class subs that are for the US military. So that's also something else that was put into this bill. There was also over $100 billion, speaking of these hurricanes, that has been allocated towards disaster relief as well too, for these communities that have been affected by the hurricanes the past few months. All right, it's 3 months later, and people are still living in tents and cars and RVs, and it's winter time, all right, in North Carolina. So it's good to see $100 billion be allocated towards that, but it's kind of too little too late. All right, we've been giving tens of billions of dollars away all over the world, and these people needed this money 3 months ago. And I'm worried that a lot of this $100 billion is not even going to make it to people directly. It's going to be potentially funneled and put into these slush funds. That's the problem with these emergencies and disasters that are happening, all the different ones in our country, is that there are people that are professionals at taking advantage of the situation and getting funding out of it, and taking all the government funding from the contracts, right, and ripping off the government for billions of dollars. This is what they do during these emergencies, to rebuild things at inflated prices to get these contracts. All right, this is like a big business when things get destroyed like this, is rebuilding it all. And this is the same thing for multiple different crises we're seeing in our country. There's a lot of slush fund activity happening, and they just get thrown a bunch of money at it, and people are given contracts to their family, their friends, their cousins, and the money is a lot of time doesn't even end up in the people's hands. Right, $100 billion, to put that into perspective, you could give 100 million people inside the United States $1,000 with that. So think about if there was 10 million people that were affected by this, you could give them all $10,000 in this area. 10 million people, right, that have been affected by this with this $100 billion, right? Fact check me if I'm wrong on the math down here, but I think I'm doing this off the top of my head. But it's a lot of money, right? That's my point. $100 billion. We should be able to completely rebuild this area, rebuild people's homes, and make things whole again, right? It also, they have given over $30 billion for farm extensions, and there's also been reforms of healthcare, okay? One of the main things that they passed, along with increasing their salary, is that Congress has exempted themselves from the Obamacare requirements. Okay, so they have to use the same health insurance markets that we have to use, and they have exempted themselves from that, and they can use different markets. I'm not sure how they use it, but they have exempted themselves from that as well too, right? So they don't have to use these Obamacare or the Affordable Care Act whatever you want to call it. They don't have to use those markets anymore, which this Affordable Care Act is part of the reason why health insurance is so unaffordable right now. It's insane. Prices are insane right now. Congress knows this. They don't even want to pay it. So they're giving themselves a raise, and they're also opting out of the health insurance markets because they're too expensive and the plans are not even that great, right? There's all these loopholes and things that you didn't know about and that are exempted and everything else, right? So they don't want to deal with that, so they get more money and they don't have to deal with it at the same time. Well, we're stuck with it, and these things get worse, right? So let me know what you guys think down below of the situation. I know that was a lot to absorb here, but these are just the main things that I saw personally digging through this. I haven't even seen anyone talking about some of these subjects on social media, like the atomic energy defense activities and the nuclear weapons activities that has been damaged from the hurricane. I haven't seen anybody talking about these things, so just hit it up down there to help get the word out. I appreciate that. I hope you guys are staying safe, staying prepared. Be on the lookout for more videos from me in the future. I'm going to be posting multiple every day. I hope you guys are staying safe, and I hope you have big blessings for your life and your family, and I hope you have a big old blessed day.